in a series of steps, move closer and closer to management at the service level, allowing you to basically articulate to the system what is the service levels that you want associated with a particular application, and then have the system take that information and start doing the correct things to provision that service at that level. And again, in Steve's presentation tomorrow, you'll see some more details about this and some of the first important steps that we're taking in that direction this year. But this suite of software is designed to be extensible and federatable. In other words, we've opened up the interfaces on it so that you can basically plug things into it as well as get information out of it. And the idea, it becomes the coordinating suite for basically a set of infrastructure-facing management, all the way from provisioning through availability, as well as a set of functions at the higher levels, at the application and user level. And this is a part of the theme that I said of allowing IT to become more like a service. So as part of this, we'll be providing the framework for you to have a self-service portal so that your users can come to the data center, look at a catalog, and basically provision themselves what services they want, much as you might do if you go to a hosting provider. And in addition to that, have the capability, once people have selected and provisioned a service, to actually keep a record of what resources they're using. And because, again, we have this very extensive view of all the events in that environment, we can give you very accurate accounting of who's using which resources when. We don't, in this generation, actually hook that up to a billing engine, but we'll give you basically the core event stream that will allow you, if you wanted to hook it up to your own internal accounting policies or some external accounting service that would allow you to do accurate chargeback to departmental accounts or even actually to real accounts. So this is the other part of extending our architecture from our current collection of virtual infrastructure into a virtual data center operating system, and then extending our management into a true management suite that is extensible, federatable, and designed to get the level of management up. So the next big step then, beyond where we were in terms of cooperating hypervisors, is to get that broad virtualization layer to knit together to become this common substrate on which we can provide IT as a service. So starting this year, we will have our vSphere generation that basically provides aggregation and coordination of all the underlying resources. And as Steve will articulate to you tomorrow, we've put a tremendous amount of work into really dramatic improvements in performance and scale. So with this generation of software, there will be literally no technical reason why you can't virtualize 100% of the workloads in your environment. Very, very dramatic increases in terms of the scale of both CPU, memory, utilization of storage, utilization of the network underneath that. It comes with integrated availability and reliability, all the way through true fault tolerance, so that you'll be able to achieve very interesting things. And because, as I said, this is a software mainframe, not a hardware mainframe, we can be even more flexible than traditional hardware approaches to fault tolerance. In other words, if you have processor B shadowing processor A, and processor A goes down and B takes over, we immediately start bringing up processor C that starts shadowing B. So you get this sort of never-ending chain of fault tolerance through the system, which is what you could do when the availability and reliability is being added in the software layer, not in the hardware layer. And we're using the standard, industry standard building blocks to do that. Integrated policy and compliance, so that you can add in modules, basically in a chain of policy engines to enforce the correct security and compliance issues in this environment, and extensible management, trying to get that towards self-service data center management, towards higher level management at the SLA or service level, agreement level of management. So this is the virtual data center operating system. We'll start this year with the vSphere generation of our products. Steve will give you a lot of more information on that, as well as in the breakout sessions here at the conference. The second of our major initiatives is to extend choice. because we think ultimately, if our job is to kind of increasingly automate the plumbing down below, then where we want our customers to get to is, in the long run, have, or even the medium term, have the choice of not only implementing infrastructure internal to their data centers, but actually getting it, if they so choose, in a flexible way from an external provider, so that you can either procure or rent your infrastructure from a service provider. So the view we have there is that we're trying to build up compatible clouds. We're trying to allow you to build an internal cloud, and at the same time we're working with a community of service providers to implement compatible infrastructure in their clouds so that you can achieve federation between the internal cloud and the external cloud, and ultimately get to this notion of a private cloud that is pulling resources either inside the data center or from external resources inside a service provider. And that should be an operational decision rather than an architectural decision. And above all, you have to get common management across that, because if you have to manage things one way inside the data center and a completely different way when you work inside a service provider provided cloud, then we won't have achieved much if we force you to be schizophrenic about how you do IT inside or outside the actual enterprise data center. So of course that implies standards, and we will this year start working with the formal standards bodies to make sure that this notion of federation between clouds is based firmly on open industry standards. We believe that there's a great danger, if we're all asleep, that we'll see the emergence of a couple of big, highly proprietary Uber clouds. There's an old joke about the California motel. It's the motel that you can check into, but you can never check out of. And if you're not careful, that's what cloud computing could become, where you can start loading things into a particular vendor's cloud, but never get them out again. And we don't think that's a good thing to happen. What we think is there should be a broad ecosystem of clouds, both internal and external, that have a greater rather than a lesser degree of compatibility between them, so that you have choice of cloud vendors and choice to basically move loads into those clouds and out again, back into your data center if needs be, or to other vendors' clouds as well. So we are doing a bunch of things in our vSphere and vCenter suite management layers to make them highly desirable for service providers to use. They are all direct extensions of things that we're already doing, so we don't have a fundamental different strategy for the internal cloud versus the external cloud. They are basically the same thing. So we're just emphasizing certain things that come within the cloud environment, like making provision for multi-tenancy, the fact that you'll have different security domains and different billing domains inside the cloud. Making a provision for extensibility in the management layer, because a lot of the service providers have particular specialized management tools that they have already, and they need to integrate those as well. Allowing you to basically move loads very effectively. This, if you like, you think of this as long-distance vMotion. Basically, how do we make it very easy to move a load, not just within your data center, but across data centers in and out of the cloud. And of course, extending what I said earlier about the performance and scalability to really get to the point where we're dealing with data centers that don't have thousands of virtual machines, but literally hundreds of thousands, or eventually even millions of virtual machines running in them. So I'm going to now actually give you a foretaste of what this could look like, and I'm going to invite Kurt Glasermakers, who's the CTO of Terramark, to come up on stage and talk to us about their enterprise cloud offering.
Hi, Paul.
Hi, Kurt. How are you?
Nice to see you learning Dutch.
Okay, well,